fucking struggle.
Yeah, like
True,
dude,
but
fastest.
you don't
I'm
have a
down with
way.
you. So why
Yeah, but
not
you
get
don't.
rid of the useless people?
But
Get rid of
see,
them.
that's the problem. Useless. The way you would define a useless person would be by the parameters of current world. But there could be, like in the so-called useless people, gene mutations and gene designations that might make them more apt to survive in an yet unforeseen circumstance that we cannot define. That's why you don't fucking kill them. It's not just because it's nice.
We can just start with our current environment today. Let's start with the inmates.
That's what we have to do. We just, but we do have the responsibility to plan for longer distances, is what I would say. We are planning very short termly due to our short lifespan, but our reason, our capabilities have surpassed that. We can like think about or dream about or wish about the future, even if we are not going to see it. That's a great quality of mankind. We should foster that. Like we should just keep with the
Wait a
flow,
minute.
stay in the flow of things. We shouldn't think
So
about
soon,
in terms of
do
fatalistically
you
and in a
soon?
like closed circle. Let me finish. Like in a closed circle loop, of course the universe is deterministic, but I don't think till we prove that it is the way it is, we should limit our thinking and our hopes and dreams on the idea that we will be superseded by AI and we will stop evolving. It's tantamount to admitting to killing
Sure.
yourself.
I just have one question. Do you think everybody is worth saving? Some
Saving.
people are just useless.
I don't think that, see, like you assign this moral thing that doesn't actually exist in reality. Morality is something completely different. When we like make moral assertions, we don't just make them like good or bad. For example, if I like ask you what is the difference between hedonism and just pleasure, like what would you say?
Uh, it depends on what you mean by the hedonism. Do you mean indulgence?
Like here's
You could
momentary hedonism is
you could Google it.
Hedonism is like
I don't understand how this is
continual
relevant.
gathering
I'm just
of
asking, like,
pleasure.
It's
like,
relevant
Pleasure
in
is just
this
like
way.
a unit.
like, are most
It's
people
relevant
useful
in
to
this
you?
way. It's
I
relevant
see
in
a
this
lot of
way.
useful.
The difference between a hedonistic person and a person just trying to get by and live and have chase pleasure is one of them is sustainable and one of them isn't. That's how we assign morality. The problem with your term useless people, I don't know what the fuck you mean by useless. It will
Oh, let's
change
start with
upon
the
every
inmates.
person.
Let's start with the ones who are not contributing to society. That's easy. We don't
Right
have to do
now
it
they
like 100%.
I would not consider them useless. I would like I don't know. My dad was in jail. Like should he be fucking euthanized?
We can start with the ultra dangerous ones.
I mean,
What about
depends.
just like the rapists?
You might eventually
Rapists, pedophiles. We
evolutionarily
can work it
need
our way.
those violent,
Yeah.
aggressive, dangerous people to survive. We don't know the pressures we will be applied yet. Right now, our population is booming. The planet is
I don't
shrinking under our
think,
feet. So we
dude. I
don't
don't think
know
we
what
need
we are gonna need.
lawbreakers. I don't think we need
Right now, we don't.
lawbreakers.
Right now, in the current system, we don't. But we might need that rebellious streak, that I'm following the rules, blah 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 blah, might be evolutionarily useful, and they might or supersede us. That like we could evolve into a more aggressive species or a more peaceful one, depending on the evolutionary pressures.
But right now they're holding us
I don't
back
see a
though.
world where we evolve to
They're
be
a
more
detriment.
aggressive.
If we got rid of them, we can evolve faster and become better.
They are
so I
not a
think I
detriment.
figured out.
I
I
wouldn't
think I
agree.
figured out what's wrong with your line of thinking. What's wrong with genetically engineering ourselves to adapt to the environment?
Nothing.
Sorry.
So why don't we just evolve that way?
I don't. I think we should. I think we should definitely try it.
Wait.
I honestly
What did
don't
you
think
say, Fastest?
I'm not honestly not against eugenics. You wouldn't be able to convince me to work against it. I think we do it without planning.
Without planning, how does that make sense?
Oh damn.
Let me put it this way. For example, like okay, we want to be a spacefaring race, right? We want to go to space and explore it, but our lifespan doesn't. We could, if there was enough pressure on us, make the moral choice that we have to breed for certain reasons, for certain traits and certain quirks to survive. We might be pressed into that. The only reason we cannot stomach it right now is because we don't have to. It's mean right now. But
Okay.
yeah.
Just to clarify, guys, we're all down for eugenics.
So
Fastest, you're done with
Right
that?
now. Not right now.
genetic
Oh, not right
engineering.
now.
Not right now. But if the evolutionary pressures that apply, if we need eugenics to survive, if we see a looming threat, we have to use it. Everything is for survival.
So why not
I
just
mean, climate
genetically
change
engineer
is
ourselves?
it's going to kill us.
Why instead of breeding particular traits, why not just genetically engineer ourselves to be able to have those traits?
Why not? I'm not against it.
Yeah, we can do both. Yes, get rid of the useless people, genetically engineer
Why? It's
ourselves,
not a,
have
that's not a,
AI to
that's
improve.
what
Yeah.
is your problem with people that you
With
really
useless
wanna
people,
you
they're
really wanna
detriment. They
yeah, but
make our lives harder.
nobody here is agreeing with your term useless. We cannot ascertain any person as useless.
Okay,
I could make the assertion that
a
you're
net
useless, and I don't know if you could prove me otherwise.
maybe in a certain context, but
Yeah.
let's just start with the easy one. The ones who are a net detriment to society, the ones who are not contributing anything.
Yeah, but what is your definition of net detriment like that?
That's exactly what I was
Somebody
gonna
who's
say.
not
It's a rabbit hole we
yeah,
don't need
yeah.
to go down.
Somebody that's consuming more resources than they are contributing to society.
Yeah,
You
but
wouldn't
why
be
are they
able to
doing that?
identify even the resources.
Yeah, like why are they doing that? Are they badly educated? Are they someone who's been motivated by personal pleasure rather than like
Sure. We
society?
can use whatever reason, but if they're beyond hope, I think we should just get rid of them.
Yeah, but with technology, they're never beyond hope. That's the whole point. With
What to a
technology, you can-
reasonable degree? If they're like a net detriment to where the cure isn't, if they're not worth curing, then we should just cut them off.
Being able to even
It's like
establish
a
the
car. Like
sickness.
if you have a car and it's more expensive to repair it than to just buy a new one, then just get rid of the car and buy a new one.
yeah, but I feel like the universe is dualistic, right? That means everything has an opposite, right? That means I think people need to experience pain in their life as well as pleasure. So we
Oh,
need to
don't
have
worry. There'll be
we
plenty
need
of
to
pain in
have
the future.
we need to have bad apples in society, people that don't contribute that much and who just take, right? In order to learn from that, we need to have different experiences so we can learn from that.
Like Fastis, you just said earlier that the universe is going to try to kill us. So that's plenty of pain right there. We don't need dead weights. It's going to drag us down.
Like, I could
We
easily
have
say
plenty of
people who
enough
think like I
problems.
could easily say the people who think like voids is a fucking detriment to humanity and should be eliminated.
Oh, I'm the
Like,
one
I
that's
could
gonna
easily say
elevate
that.
us.
How?
It depends on what you mean by useless.
I
but
mean,
again, we can just start with the easy ones, like
exactly.
with the prisoners, inmates.
Yeah, but prison systems and the people in prison are a failure of other people. They are a product. They are not. We don't assign them free will. Just like, see, this is what Fastest Man Alive was talking about. Because we can always trace a priori in terms, like something that predates the previous action. That's why we can
Okay.
always trace why someone is in jail, and it does not correlate to their fucking genetics, dude.
Yeah,
It just
most
doesn't.
people,
Yeah,
most
well,
people
no,
in
I'm not
jail
a
need medical
genetic.
attention.
I'm not a genetic determinist. That's not my position. Like, I don't understand how what you said is against my point, though. Like, sure, they are determined to be a detriment. Isn't that any more reason to get rid of them?
No,
Like, we
they're
could try to
determined.
mitigate that. We can do both. We could
You
just get
haven't
rid
been
of them
able
and then
to
try to mitigate them.
establish what a detriment is. You couldn't be able to say
No,
a
I just said
single
it.
detriment. What?
Okay,
What?
okay.
Say it
Somebody
again.
who consumes more resources than
What
they
are
put
those
out to society.
resources? What are those resources?
I mean, we can start with the basic stuff. Like, they're not providing any services. They're not making. They don't have any job. They're useless. They
I could
run into
find
the
you
law.
people here right now who works less and like provides less to society in this Discord than prison inmates who just sometimes clean around the fucking neighborhoods and shit. Like
Yeah, I
sitting
mean,
in their
like,
Well,
computers
we
for the most
can.
part,
20 hours a day. Yeah.
You're saying that as a counter argument, but I'm willing to go. Maybe they should be. Maybe they should be next on the chopping block. I don't know.
Because you're
okay. Well,
not
you
giving
don't know,
any
so
merit to a human's
Look,
conscious
I'm not.
experience. That's the problem. Like
I'm not the.
you're not
Wait,
seeing
guys.
the
I'm
value
not.
of experience itself. Like you're
I'm.
thinking in always in social
Oh.
and country and nation terms and never about the individual. An individual's personal experience is the value of itself. That's the
Oh
problem
no
of their
no no!
argument.
I'm looking at this as an individual, and some people are as an individual are not worth saving.
okay, that's your personal opinion. But before we move too far into this tangent, Zune. So I just want to say something, which is a human being that can be genetically engineered to adapt to any environment, whether it's in space or whatever, because the Earth grows humans, right? So we're adapted to live on Earth. But if we want to go into space, we're not adapted. We've seen like how much muscle and bone deterioration happens on ISS, right? For example.
Yeah, horrible, man.
So wouldn't you say the best possible version of humanity we can make is one that is not only genetically engineered but also assimilated with AI?
First part, yes. Second part, I don't know yet. If it turns out the way you think it is going to, yes, totally agree. But the problem is we don't know yet. Just like as I said before, if AI develops the way we want it to, in a way that is beneficial to us, whatever, like we just don't know so much. Yes, then yes, of course, adaptability is king. I would support it forever. Like, because the whole thing is about our morality even derives from survival. That's the problem. Like, people often miss that. Like, survival and morality align.
Yo, Fastest, what happens if the AI says, what if the AI agrees with me? Would you be down for it?
Then it's not a very well developed AI.
Yeah. Yeah, because we can easily fuck it up right now. We don't need AI.
Damn, man, you're not willing to go all the way in.
No, because look,
because there's no reason to yet.
There's a reason why we don't.
Oh, wait. So soon, you'd be down for it if there was immediate reason.
Of course, like say we don't have enough food to feed everybody.
How about climate change? Supposedly it's going to kill us within 100 years.
Dude,
okay,
everything
look
is
at
for
this,
survival.
right?
You can convince me of anything if you can prove to the letter of the law that it will help us survive in the longest run.
Yeah. My idea, it will. It'll help us.
Boy.
Yeah, I bet.
We could, in theory, say like anyone who we can detect in like before they're born has Asperger's or some sort of like autism. We can abort the baby before they're born. So therefore, limiting the ability for them to move their genetic material to the next generation and giving someone that condition. Right? We could do that.
Yeah.
But the things that we learn from people that have autism and Asperger's, and the things that it tells us about human biology and mutations of our genes, is far more precious to us than just killing those people and not letting them exist, right?
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah.
How so?
Yes.
I'm curious. How so?
Because we learn more about the genetic mutations of genes. We learn more about epigenetics. We learn more about how certain genetic mutations are passed down to the next generation and how to eliminate that happening, right? There's so many things we learn from that.
Okay.
I mean, just think of
let's
it very
keep a few
simple
of them
term,
around then.
just for Earth, like say your arms being tougher and harder, your like appendages being metal. Say it's a benefit on Earth, but we could be like in the next 2,000 years in a fucking planet where it is incumbent upon us to be elastic. Like we don't know. Like, so one thing that you ascertain as a value and a positive on Earth could be something completely negative in a different environment. That's why those people any kind of people will always be valuable. Like, because you can always choose when it is a positive trait, when it's a negative trait. Just like when you said, oh, these people are violent and just consume resources and they're committing crimes and whatnot. But we don't know. Maybe we will need those people and need those genetic traits to survive. Like we might need increased aggression. We might need reduced aggression. We might need more intelligent people. We might need less intelligent people. Whatever is going to make us survive, we will apply that pressure to ourselves, and we must.
But wait. Oh, sorry. Are you finished? I think you guys got out. Oh, sorry. Okay.
Finished.
Okay. Well, you just said earlier you'd agree with my plan if it's the best way for us to survive. But given that...
Yeah, but you won't be able to prove it ever.
Okay, so let's say 100 years, climate change is going to kill us. Would you agree with that?
Yeah,
there are scientists who are saying that. Okay. I don't see why we would need lawbreakers in that era. I think we would absolutely need less lawbreakers if we're trying to...
breaking the laws will fucking benefit us, dude. Like maybe the breaking of laws will
in what scenario?
unroot us. Say we have really shitty laws and you are not very adamant in following those laws, and breaking of those laws will be a fucking advantage of survival, and they will survive more than you do. That's it.
Okay, so
No,
Void,
in the context of climate change, let's say the seas are burning, the crops are dying, and we need to manage resources. But you
I
got
don't
this
think
group
you're
of
loading
people.
it up.
Wait.
Loading it
No,
up.
wait. We got this group of people who are breaking the law, stealing shit, and they're murdering people for it, and they're just causing havoc all around. I don't see them as a benefit.
Dami would
well,
kill him. Yeah,
so
Dami would kill him.
the reason why they're a benefit.
Oh, you'd be down for
Yeah,
it then. Okay.
yeah. If they're taking lives, yeah, you're sure. Like,
No.
it's
You
such a
wouldn't have it.
hypothetical. It's so impossible,
It
so
is.
far-fetched.
It is. But the
So
problem is,
far-fetched.
like,
Oh,
if
it's
you
going to
have
be real
people,
though.
if you have people
Nah.
that are only bred to obey and to like look up to authority, then you're gonna have a bigger problem later on, right?
Exactly.
We need
Yeah.
some people to rebel within society. Also, there's a scientist called Robert Sapolsky who's a neuroendocrinologist.
I love
and
him.
By the
He
way,
says,
soon.
listen, he says that 60% of the people in prison are in prison because they've suffered some sort of head trauma accident in their life, right? And what this head trauma causes is you can reason with them and tell them, like, this is good and this is bad, and they'll agree with you. This is good and this is bad. But they have the ability for them to stop doing the thing that is bad is limited because of this head trauma accident they've had, right? So even these people just existing helps us learn more about this condition, right?
You're
And
so right.
I
Yes.
think most
Preach.
people in prison need medical attention rather than like punishment, to be honest with you.
Preach. Yes.
Oh, sure, we can have a few guinea pigs, like
Oh
yeah,
my God.
a few Aspergers, a few autism, a few head traumas.
All right.
Yeah.
You're very edgy. You're very edgy. Have at it.
I'm just saying, man.
We'll get to it
By
when
the
we
way, I
get
was
to
going
it.
to say
Is what
soon.
the thing I'm gonna
You know
say last.
what's happening? You know what's happening in Tuvalu right now?
What? I don't know what you said. What is that?
Oh, Tuvalu. It's a micronation in the
I don't know
Pacific
that.
Ocean.
I don't know them.
Their country is sinking. They're dying because
Yikes.
climate change. They're going to be a digital nation. I'm just saying it's happening right now. Yeah. Whether or not
True.
it's our fault or I don't know.
I
At
mean,
some point
we're
we're going to have to. At some point we're going to have to. What do you call this? Use our resources correct. What do you call that?
efficiently.
Use it more efficiently, and we gotta choose which one should live and which one should die.
Oh my god. I
what
feel
are we
like you
talking
want to
about?
kill a lot of, I feel like you want to kill a lot of people that you deem unnecessary right now.
I mean, soon you were
and
talking
making
about Deadwood
arguments for
earlier. You
future.
sort of agree. You're
So-
talking about Deadwood.
So
I was
artists?
like down for that. I was like,
Sure.
yes.
but an artist can choose to not do art and do something else. It's fucking fine. We don't all have to be artists. It's fucking fine.
No,
And
we
like,
all have to be
boy,
artists.
have you ever
Aren't
heard
we
of
all
art
artists
creator?
technically at something?
Like that's why I like your Deadwood analogy because you're using it for artists. I'm using it for humanity as a whole.
But I'm talking about something that is being applied to us right now. You're making a hypothetical assumption that we are going to be forced to make those decisions 100 years from now, and we should do them right now without being
Wait,
able
what's
to
the
predict 1 year into the
hypothetical?
future.
Okay,
I
and
mean,
also,
shouldn't we
Void,
prevent it though?
Yeah,
Don't
but
you
We
think
Void,
don't know
a
it's
good
gonna
idea?
come. We don't
part
need
of being a human is
Climate
to be,
change.
technology,
part of
baby.
being a human is to be compassionate, right? And you're not
Oh,
seeming to
yeah.
be showing that kind of
Nah.
trait right now. So I don't know. Are you a
Bro
human
thinks you have to be compassionate.
I mean, if the survival of humanity depends on us not being compassionate, I
Right now,
think we can
yes.
dispense with it.
Right now,
yeah.
yes, but maybe in the later, like very late future, no.
Yeah.
Like the compassion, like all these moral assertions will always be fluid. Always. Like it will change depending upon the times. It will change depending upon, like, just like you couldn't be able to like incriminate a fucking caveman for raping a Neanderthal woman of rape. You know, it's just not, it just doesn't happen. The moral systems don't apply. You always assign morality due to the current morals and conditions of the time, not fucking before, not fucking after. It's
Wait,
called
what am I doing?
nominality.
But
Voids
soon
wants to kill. Voids
we
wants to kill everyone in prison and trying to craft scenarios to make it happen. That's all that's happening.
Yeah, Void
No,
wants to
not
kill
just
everyone.
not
basically.
everyone. Just the
Well,
ones
I am
that
pretty pro
we
killing
don't need.
people.
Yeah,
You know,
just the ones
like,
we don't need. The murderers, the rapists. We can start with them, and then we can work our way up.
autistic
I don't
Okay,
know.
so what
Are
if
we
someone
down?
murders? What if someone murders the rapist? Then what?
By the way, wait. Soon said earlier that we don't assign morality to Neanderthals or something like that.
And
Okay,
we
I
study
agree with
them,
you.
yes.
In today's society right now, we don't need the murderers and the rapists, right? So why not
Why?
get
No,
rid
we
of them?
do. No, we do. We
We do.
absolutely do.
We
Of
need the
course we do.
murderers.
Who's gonna
Yes,
do
yes,
raping and murdering
yes.
if there are no
No,
murderers and
we need
rapers?
them in jail. But see,
Those
this is why we need
industries
them.
are just gonna die.
The fastest man alive was right when he said, when we capture, imprison, and study rapists, it helps us
Okay.
analyze and further our understanding of humanity and our tricks and our quirks because we don't know ourselves yet, baby. We haven't solved ourselves yet. Like that's always a useful information. And for example, when we look at the behavior patterns of rapists, violent criminals, like sociopath, whatever you can, like every mean shit that you can think of, like the what we see is not they are just that way. They're always
what you
made
get.
that way.
Yeah,
They're
they're always
always
That's an interesting
made that
idea.
way. It's not an idea. It's fucking proven that it is
yeah,
the case.
yeah. So
It's
No,
not
voice,
an
it's an
idea
interesting
at
idea
all.
that we should keep them alive so we can study them.
We don't keep them alive and waste resources on them because we are nice, dude. It's not why we do it.
I don't
Okay,
like
so
this
voice,
woo-woo
voice,
nice
check this out.
compassion thing.
So
We are
voice, check
not.
this
That's
out.
why I'm saying we are not doing it because of that.
Like
Because there is
I'm
the use
approaching
of
this from
understanding and
a
furthering human
ruthless
knowledge.
perspective.
Yeah, I can tell. Are you from Indonesia?
I don't talk about where I'm from.
Oh,
It's a
Okay.
top
I
secret.
wouldn't either.
It's a very
Not Indonesia, though. I can
Duterte.
tell you that much.
It's a very Duterte-esque sort of tactic. But anyway, listen. In the past, we as humanity needed psychopaths. Okay, why do we need psychopaths? Because when we want to have a war with the next tribe, right? We need some crazy guy who's going to hold an axe, be in the front line, and go and start hacking off our enemies. We needed them in the past. We don't need them as much now because we have organized military. But there's always a need for some certain trait of humanity, whether we're studying it, whether we're learning more about ourselves, whether we're using them to do things we would rather not do. It doesn't matter. Like we still always need different quirks and traits and humans.
Like I could
God, I love
easily
Invincible.
imagine a situation where in like 2000 years in the future, the same like gene that makes you say, like I apologize for everybody, but the same gene maybe that makes you more quote unquote aggressive and rapey could help you battle an alien race. That trait is suddenly fucking useful to that savage
Wait,
behavior
we're gonna
is suddenly
fuck
desirable.
aliens to death?
No, not
Invasion be
anything.
We need the
anything that
rape
you can
gene.
think of. Anything
We
that
need an
you
army of
like.
rapists.
So
We
this
don't
picture
know.
here is a picture of the sun and the moon. It's like, no. That's me fucking an alien to death.
That's not what I mean, but yeah, I mean you get the idea. Anything that we consider or deem negative for human race right now is changeable and malleable and adaptive. Like it will always consider, we will always consider them in terms of what we are experiencing right now,
Why not
because we
just
cannot
have
predict the future yet.
Wait, soon. Why not just have a gene bank though? Let's make a gene bank of murderers and rapists.
We do have
And
that.
then once we need them, we make
We
the
do have
murderers
that.
and rapists.
We do have that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do
So
have
in
that.
the meantime, we slaughter the murderers and rapists.
I think
Hey,
that argument went
we're
as
in
far
the
as it
Sky
What
could.
if we just next bank crisis that we're gonna have? What if we don't? What if we just like fuck those people to death?
I mean,
Hey,
I think we couldn't. I don't think we have the trait in us. We need the rapists.
Exactly.
oh my,
No,
you
like,
heard it? You
Dude,
heard it here?
we'll make an army of rapists, and they'll be so terrifying that aliens won't
you
mess
mean
with
the
us.
yeah,
Russians?
They'll be like,
maybe. Yeah,
we don't,
I mean, the
we don't want to get
Russians are an
raped.
army of rapists. They're not doing well.
I mean, I'm from Turkey. I mean, we used to have. Do you guys know about the Janissaries?
Oh yeah.
Regiment of Turkish armies. Yeah, they're really
Soon,
big.
remember
So they
the
used to rape children, yeah.
remember
I guess.
Vlad the
Yeah.
Impaler? You guys back the fuck off when you guys saw those
Yeah.
spikes.
I'm not a very nationalistic person, so you won't get a rise out of me with that. But like, what I'm trying to say is like some things that you deem unworthy right now may be valuable later on. We don't know. Like say selfishness or maybe more compassion. Like we don't know. I'm saying maybe we will need more compassion and more kindness later on to survive. We don't know yet. Like we shouldn't predict or even try to predict that because we cannot. Like we cannot predict 1 minute into the future, let alone like 10 years. You know,
So
it's a confusing thing.
about the thing about like Janissaries, just 10 seconds. You know, in America, like if they have this work for welfare thing. It's kind of like slavery. If you need food, they're gonna send you to work somewhere, and often it's like at burger chains.
Yeah.
That's kind of like burger
Mm.
flipper Janissaries.
Huh? Didn't know that. Damn. Well, maybe. Like, I don't know. I
Mm.
just know that
Sometimes burger
Janissaries were
flipper.
these berserkers who didn't use weapons and slapped people to death to intimidate them, like to intimidate the opposing army that just went nuts. Like Janissary in Turkish means berserker anyway. Like that's what they are. Like,
Berserker?
Doesn't that
yeah,
mean new soldier? Yani and Seri soldier?
yeah. But they're called zerkers too. That's what we call them.
Bro, that's so
Dude, this
Zerk.
this has been a very interesting conversation. I
I
learned a
don't
lot.
think that
It's fun.
burger flippers that
Yeah.
are like indentured servants in the U.S. usually
Ugh,
I think I'm
I
an
hope that
indentured
beat
changes.
people to death,
servant,
but I don't
not a
know.
burger flipper.
I'm not a huge fan of limiting people's potential, man. Like, I just don't like it.
I think we should execute more people.
By the way,
That's what
I don't fully believe in whatever the fuck I'm saying right now. It's
I
just
can
an
tell you're
Just
like
interesting
not.
thought
playing.
experiment.
You're playing around. You're memeing about. It's okay. Like I'm not going to like 100% hold you to everything you're saying and make moral assumptions about your character
Well,
based on
I
your
am.
arguments. Don't worry about it.
Like, I am.
I am.
The climate
I
change
100% do.
hypothetical is interesting though, because we all hear this climate change doom. I mean, if it's real, I mean, what are we gonna do about it? My idea is just one of those wacky ideas that maybe could be
What's
on
the
the table.
wacky idea? What's the wacky idea? Tell us.
He
Yeah,
wants to kill people.
yeah, murder. Not
That's
well.
it.
There's
Oh,
actually another
base.
one, a global totalitarian state like North Korea. I don't know if that could help us survive. I don't. Maybe.
I remember a time when I was holding views kind of close to yours when I was much younger. I'm 34 now, and I do remember. When in hindsight, after looking at it for like long time, I can feel, and I'm not going to make 100% statement, but I can feel those feelings and those assertions derived from a certain sense of lack of challenge in the current world. Like you wanna, like like how people like post-apocalyptic scenarios because it inflicts this urgency of cleaning, like making choices more certain and harsh and one and two, like binary. Like you have to make hard choices and stuff. Maybe like, I feel these kinds of thoughts come to people most of the time who don't get to make those kinds of choices in their current life, so they have to like think in those terms in their ideologies and thought patterns. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
You hit him with the
Yeah.
deterministic factor.
Did I? I don't know. I just a feeling that I had.
Like I'm not. I'm not genocidal. I've never
No,
really
no, no. I never
advocated
said
for.
you were. I would never
No.
make that about that assertion about you, dude. Like we're just talking about shit and shit. Like we're just
Wait,
talking right now. You know?
He's saying
wait.
that
Can
when
you
he
say
had
that
those
again?
thoughts, when he had those thoughts when he was younger, it was a projection from the limitations he had in his own life.
Like how you
Oh, yeah, I can
cannot
see that.
alter like the course of humanity in the pseudo clear way you think you can see for a eventually better world while disregarding every other human who would immensely suffer from those decisions. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
like you could easily just throw them away because like for the future you could say in your head, but it's a weird thing. I don't know, it's a feeling. I'm not very good at explaining this particular thing, but I do feel for myself, not for you, that I like the Deadwood thing comes from that in your arguments. Like that's what it was for me at least. Like I lacked control. I found humanity stupid, and I thought, hey, let's make our choices quote unquote simpler, cleaner. Just like
It's
Hitler would.
very, yeah. I mean, like, also remember, never judge a book by its cover. It's very easy to make sweeping assumptions about someone that you don't really know from surface level. But actually, if you dig in deeper, you learn something new that you didn't know before, and maybe you actually figure out why they act in the way they do, and why they act in the way that you don't like the way
Yes.
they act. Right?
Like I would like to make an ethos statement to avoid saying like I told you that my dad used to be in jail. Like right, he shot someone for not paying his debt to him. Like made him work for years and shot him in the ass just to send a message, and he got
Wait,
God
genuinely
wait,
pissed.
damn.
is this real? It sounds
Yeah,
fake.
yeah,
This
this
is
is real.
fake.
God damn.
Yeah, no, this is real. My dad fought in the Turkish Civil War and shit like that. He's a bipolar weird fuck. And what I'm gonna say is, but his dad was someone like my grandfather ran away from home at 6 years old to become a Muslim like influencer, whatever, in Egypt. This crazy person who beat the shit out of him with metal rods. Like, so you tell me what he deserves. You know, like you don't know.
Yeah,
You
he's a
don't know
product of his
shit.
own environment.
Yes, like that's the problem. Like it's very easy to hate my dad for beating on me, beating on my mom, but the things that made him are much harsher. Like
You know what?
in hindsight, he's kinder. You know?
You and I are a lot more similar than I initially thought. Zune. Even though you're an artist, I'll forgive you.
Yeah, I
for
feel the same. I feel the
Um,
same. I feel
But
the same.
I want to ask you a question. Have you ever taken mushrooms before?
No, I haven't. That wasn't mushrooms. No, yeah, I
Okay.
haven't.
Have you ever taken any hallucinogenics or smoked
Yes,
weed before? Okay.
yes, but not a high dose, like 3.4 grams or whatever, like Destiny did. You know?
Yeah, I mean, like there's this sort of saying that why is it only the artists that like smoke and drink and look at look at life in an existential way and blah blah blah. And I just thought
I
that
can
maybe that
only
was a
say that for myself. I wouldn't be able to make that assertion for other artists, but I would honestly say, like, if it doesn't sound too whiny, like I had a hard life and I always try to make sense of it. I think that's all what it is. Like I try to make sense of the pain. Like I try to run from it, run towards it, like face it, not face it, make decisions from
Badass.
it. I don't think that I had a lot of control, and art was a way to like
express
make
itself.
yeah. Oh, it
So,
was always that way for me.
do you know much about like Buddhism?
Not much, no, but I have a feeling of it.
Okay, I mean, like, because the whole Buddhist idea is like, human beings suffer. We suffer because we desire. So if you eliminate desire, then you eliminate suffering. But
True.
the idea of
Oh god, that's
eliminating
obnoxious.
the idea of
No, not you. Sorry.
eliminating desire in itself is a desire. So you're stuck in a conundrum.
I feel like I think not for other artists. For me, I wrestle with life itself, and I assign and subtract, attach and detach meaning from it. That's all I try to do. Like I try to make my life mean something and say to myself, "Here I am." That's all I do. Honestly, because that's all I can do. Honestly, because we have so little control of it, I want to have control over that. You know how I live. That's
So
all.
that's
All I
very
did.
interesting. Like, so what is? I don't know if you can share this with us, but what is the meaning of your life?
Oh, I would say live in a way that does not
Live.
clash
Wow.
with my values.
Okay, can you share one value that you have?
I would say sincerity. I would honestly say sincerity and integrity.
Mm.
The core value that I have, like if that I try to uphold in myself, is live in a way where people I respect, if they knew every thought and every action in my head, I would not be ashamed.
Okay, and did you grow up in a religious background? I'm guessing yes,
Yes.
but you're not anymore.
Yes, very, very, very hardly religious. I was indoctrinated to Fethullah Gulen. If you guys know of the coup in Turkey, the guys who perpetrated it, I was indoctrinated in that when I was like 10.
And
I'm an ex-Hafiz, if you guys know what that is. A Hafiz is
Half
someone
what?
who Hafiz, it's someone who memorizes the Quran, the holy book of Muslims, to protect it from
Oh.
change. Yeah. They send you to a boarding school. You like day in day out. You get occasionally sexually molested and memorize the Quran.
What?
Yeah,
okay,
that's how it goes.
I'm
so
guessing you know Arabic.
No, I'm not. I used to. I intentionally forgot it. I hate it.
Oh, okay.
Faith.
and I'm guessing now that you're not religious
How
anymore.
do you spell the
No,
Halfa?
I'm not. I'm not. HAFI, but a Turkish I, without the dot, and Z. But even if you put it with the dot, you will get something on Google.
Okay.
They are like a religious order that has been around since Muhammad, who keep like the Quran from outside influence, change, whatever. Like so, even if someone changes somehow every Quran in the world, there are people who have it memorized, so they can say, "You
Mm.
guys altered this."
I mean, that's the main
Yeah.
distinction Islam tries to make away from the other Abrahamic religions, which is it's never changed through time. It's unchanging.
Yeah,
Whereas if you
it's
look
one
at
of the
other,
principal shit that I hate about it.
yeah, but it's actually it's a strength and it's also a detriment, because if your religious texts don't change, then they don't adapt to the social norms of the time.
Yes, yes, you
Which is
guys can feel these conflations in, say, Qatar World Cup, like all those weird
exactly
stuff. Yeah, yeah,
exactly. So you have a very archaic systems or rule of engagement with each other and humanity. But
yes,
because normally what happens is our laws or our moral principles change over time based on what the collective accepts at that time, then you basically have a huge conflict with the rest of advancing humanity, basically.
yes, yes. And I was both lucky and unlucky that very bad things happened to me when I was very young. Like, and I was lucky enough that I read the right books. I read precisely the right, I watched precisely the right things, listened to the precisely right things to get me out of it. And all my friends weren't so lucky. Like, I had friends die in the coup, man. Like, they got shot on the bridge, like by a fucking Apache helicopter. Like,
Wow.
all friends, they just died, man. Like a guy from my swimming team died. Like my boss died. His 16-year-old son died, and you cannot find meaning in that, but you do feel a certain kind of, oh damn, like even though you do disagree with these kinds of people so badly, you know they didn't have the influences, just like Fastest Man Alive was saying when we were talking about determinism, that they didn't have the lucky influences that I had. My mother was a saint and she protected me so much from my dad. So if I didn't have that, I would become just like my cousin, who is a religious zealot, stuff like that. Like I was very ready to blow myself up for the holy cause, because that's what we were trained to do. Like it's the best thing you can do with your life when you're a kid. Like because you're so simple when you're a child, you're so easy to convince of anything. Like so, like I do have a sympathy towards that kind of determinism, considering how simple we are. But at the same time, like luck has an insane amount of power besides determinism that we cannot yet calculate or measure.
We'll call it a random.
See, the random thing that we cannot ever define or prove mathematically. Yeah, I know. Like it fucks me up too. I hate. I want to know, but at the same time, I know that knowing something is death because it's certain and absolute and stuff like that. That philosophical shit. But I would say that the luckiest thing that ever happened to me, like which a lot of people would like say in a, oh, this is such a sad story way, was my father left us like occasionally to tend his second family that we didn't know about, who are like Russian and stuff like that. Classic Turkish shit, go like get a Russian girl, populate, run away, stuff like that. He came back one day and I'm suddenly 18. Like I'm suddenly 18 and for the first time ever, he sees me and I'm not a Muslim. I have long hair, I have earrings and piercings and whatnot. And he immediately called me a faggot. Oh, are you a faggot now? He said,
Yo, you
yeah.
can't say that though. You can't say that
Yeah,
here.
he immediately. I don't know if I'm. Do we say it F word? Like I don't know. I'm from
Yeah,
Turkey.
yeah, F
My bad.
F word, F slur.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he called me an F word instantly, and for the first time in my life, I don't share this often. Sorry, I'm gonna get a little emotional. Uh, I was the
Good.
same height as him. I was the same height as him, and I said, "So what? Just so what? He lost all intelligence, washed away from his eyes. It's the first like confrontational shit I've ever said to my dad, and he immediately tried to punch me, and I punched him. He lost all sanity, ran to the kitchen, grabbed the knife. My mom jumped on him, got a little cut on her throat. I like figured this out. Like she told me this.
No.
She told me this like 10 years later that she got a little cut. Like she screamed, "Get out of the house! Get out of the house!" And I was 18, and that was how I started life. I ran away from home, nothing, like no shoes in my fucking foot, and just ran away. That was why my mom divorced him. Not because of beating me, not because of beating her, not sending us for not sending us money, just for that. And I was lucky because after he left our lives, we were blissfully happy.
Sir,
Like-
this is a Wendy's.
So, like in hindsight, I don't get to judge people who are in prison. You know? Because I could
Very
have easily
interesting-
been someone who just blew himself up.
It's a very interesting life story you've had. I actually also grew up religious. I'm half Egyptian.
Oh, I am too. Are you? I am half Egyptian, half Hungarian. That's nice. My mom
I
is
made-
fully Egyptian.
I made the decision at 16 that I didn't want to be religious anymore, to which my mom threatened to disown me. So that was fun.
My mom wasn't that harsh. She was really unhappy when I was, atheistic, but she was trying to convince me that Islam didn't have to be that way or that way. It could be different. But she didn't notice the logical fallacy there, that if Islam can change to whatever you believe it is, it is not
It was
Islam.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah, like those arguments would fall flat, and she would say, "I don't give a
Yeah,
fuck."
but
I'm
Yeah,
just
I
gonna
mean,
do what's
luckily
right
for
for me.
me-
That's why I love her still. She's an incredibly decent human being.
Yeah, but I think my mom tried to disown me based on fear of like cultural backlash. You have to remember that she grew up in a very religious environment. Her dad was an imam, so there was some sort of expectation of the family in terms of like religious exceptionalism or how
Oof, yeah, rough.
whatever, right? So, but luckily for me, my dad was agnostic,
Ah,
and so I had influences from him, and I just said to my mom, like, why do I have to follow your religion when I'm both your child and my father's child? I'm a product of both of you.
oh, that's
Uh,
a good way. Good way to
Yeah, and
establish it.
she
Yeah,
finally came around.
yeah. See, like you didn't go for the perfectly reasonable, logical argument, but you negotiated.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
but not now. She's
it's a good
absolutely cool with
survival
it, and she's
trait.
fine with it. But it was such a weird thing for a 16-year-old to be so adamant about. Why are you
Yeah,
so adamant about this idea at the age of 16? Like, what? Like, you're not sure of anything as a teenager. How can you be sure of
yeah,
this thing, right?
yeah. Right. Yeah, it's hard, man. Like teenagers are a different fucking breed, man. Like it's
or
like,
bad.
oh,
Bad.
I wouldn't say bad. I think it's like they know so much. Like they know so
But
much
they don't
and
do
so little at
anything.
the same time. Like it's weird. Like it's hard. That's why it's so hard to convince them. Like you're trying to wrest away from them a certain aspect of animality. I would say. Like, I don't know if that's a word. Like that animal nature out of them, and attach this social civilized behavior onto them. And if it maps onto them, it maps onto them. If it doesn't, you have to contend with the rebellious streak. And I was very rebellious. So yeah.
Happens.
But I was lucky. I mean, I was lucky even like, having watched Destiny. Like even that is such a boon when I was really young. He was like streaming about infestors and shit like that. Like you don't know where people who think like you are. The internet was such a boon. I think if there wasn't internet, I was a fucking zealot. I'm 100% sure of it. I 100% believed in God. I 100% did when I was a kid. Like I would talk to it, I would pray to it, I would just like help elderly people because I thought, hey, this is the good way to be, and Allah is watching this action. Like He will like me more because I didn't like myself too much, but I wanted Allah to like me for who I am. Like
Actually, one of the reasons why I started having doubts was because I started reading about other religions, and I thought, well, hang on a minute, like I didn't choose my family, right? And other people don't choose their family; they're just born in a different country, in a different family, whatever. Which means automatically they adopt a different religion or way of life or belief system. So how can it be that this random sort of ability for people to be born in random places can have any true sort of deterministic value towards like what religion is right and what God is right?
yeah.
And actually, Buddhism helped me a lot. Like, and I'm not Buddhist, but the Buddhist idea where like there's something I wouldn't even call it religion. I'll call it like a way of life. But
Morals,
for some
values.
people,
Yeah, I totally agree with
some
you.
people would call it. But here is someone who's saying you don't have to do anything. You don't have to worship anyone. There's no God. Like we don't believe in deities. You just have to look within yourself for the truth. But if you're serious enough, and if you want this enough, you can find a lot of the truths you're looking for within yourself, right?
Yes.
And it's like, wow, this
That's
is
really
amazing.
cool.
I've never seen this in any other place. And every other place is do as I say or else.
Yeah.
Every other
Punishments,
religion
rewards. Yeah.
exactly. Every other religion is do as I say or else. Whereas this guy is like, no, you don't have to do anything. You can live your life the same way you're living your life today. continuously.
It depends, right, on the kind of Buddhist. There's the Buddhists that do massacres and shit.
Well, that's different. They're just
They're
called
not the
Buddhists,
true
but
ones.
they're not following the real tenets of the idea. The whole point of
I know.
Buddhism is like human beings suffer because we desire. In order to eliminate suffering, you need to eliminate desire. But that in itself is a desire. The desire to eliminate desiring is a desire in itself. So you're stuck with a conundrum. But Buddhism doesn't tell you how to answer that question. It says you need to
Well-
look within yourself to answer the question.
Also, I don't even think you have to call yourself a Buddhist to have those practices in you. Like, a friend of mine suggested, meditation to me, and I find it immensely helpful. Immensely. Like just sitting and thinking and just like not thinking, just sitting there and just nothing. I think, especially in today's world, is extremely useful. And I think these useful things for humanity has been hiding behind religious shit so much we don't do them. Like,
Yeah.
we have to find a way to extract these values out of the grips of religion, the structural religion, and inject them into human experience itself, or adaptable moral values itself would be the ideal, I would say. But you can only do this on a personal level. So like we all choose our battles, I would like to believe. Like I don't buy a lot of stuff. Like that's my thing. Like I just don't buy stuff. Like if like I don't want to buy it because people tell me to buy stuff. Like do I need this? How much would I like change my life? Like I like the last thing I actually bought myself was like big thing that I bought myself was this Wacom drawing tablet that has a monitor. Wacom Syntax that you see in
Oh,
artists.
sick.
Yeah, that
It's cool.
like I married my wife for that. Like because in Turkey, if you get married, like you get a lot of gold from both parents, like both families. So like, hey, I have to buy this because
Gold?
like my tablet is getting
Damn.
fucked. So we looked at each other. I'm like, want to get married? Yeah, hell yeah, let's go. We just didn't even do a wedding. Just got the gold, went to Tokyo for a
yeah.
honeymoon, just
Um,
bought the Cintiq, and my career launched from there. I was so happy. Yeah.
marrying Turkey.
You really
That's-
wanted that Cintiq, huh?
Oh
Damn.
man, you have no idea. I was so emotional when it arrived. It was so hard to get here too because they didn't sell them in Turkey, and it was a fucking hurdle to get it here. Like I think I
Yeah.
had one of the top like 5 sold Cintiqs in Turkey. Like there were so little of them back when I bought them.
Nice.
Damn.
Damn.
Yeah, it's a great purchase. Now, like I still drive a lot of pleasure, satisfaction, like meaning from it. Unlike, say, I bought some, I don't know, maybe it means something to someone, but it doesn't to me. Say a Marvel figure, I don't know, maybe a shirt that I don't really need, you know. I try to work on those bases, and it has made me less consumptuous. Instead of like screaming at capitalism while, constantly, I just try to work against it in my own life because that's all I can do, really.
You're not materialistic.
I'm not. I really am not. But I am like I'm very hungry for other things. Like I consume things, especially fiction. Very hungry for it all the time. I can get consumed in fiction forever. That's all I want to do ever. Escape from this reality like that way. Like think about those things. And that is also a kind of escape and I don't know, consuming, I would say. But at least I
Yeah.
choose what to consume in a way that gives me meaning more than a purchase would. That high rush you get from a buy, I guess.
But
Yeah, you can't
that's
explore new ideas.
yeah, that's kind of different. Like the reason why people say things like, "Oh, get out of your environment," is not because the physical place matters. It's because the type of stimulation that you're getting will change. Like when you get to a new place, you meet new people, and you get new ideas, and you think differently.
Yeah, that's so
And
true. It's a mentality, right? Yeah.
yeah, exactly. It's not about the place itself. It's about not being in a place where you're. Think of the mind like a computer. Like you can get some inputs. You can put some inputs on your computer, and they will always come the same output. But if you get new inputs, then they will change the outcome. And it's the
Yeah.
same like when you read a book, when you get out of your house to see people. It's like you gotta have this constant flux of things because if not, what happens is what you said. Like you're always thinking and just going, and you never stop to like appreciate and understand them, whatever. Like,
Pedro, are you Portuguese?
no, Brazilian.
Brazilian, but you speak Portuguese. Okay, I could tell by the way you're speaking. There's actually
Yeah.
a part of the brain called the amygdala, which is based on you experiencing new things, right? The whole amygdala is one of the primary functions is it wants to experience new things so that it can use that data to adapt your mind in a particular way.
Yeah.
So we actually have a biological tool
Thing.
that is precisely built on having new experiences.
Yeah, I if I just stay in my room, like I don't talk to people like I'm doing right now, I'm talking to you guys, but I get fucked up, man. My mind just goes to shit, you know. Like I have to
Yeah.
get new stimuli, and it's something that I just realized recently. Like if you don't go out there and get new stimuli, your mind just keeps on looping on the same things again and again,
Yeah,
and you just
atrophies. Yeah.
get fucked. Yeah.
Yeah, it
You have
does.
to get new
Yeah,
things.
that's why I joined like calls like this. I haven't done this for a while in an English-speaking server or whatever, but I'm lucky I
Yeah.
have a wife that I talk a lot to every day, chat about, ideas and stuff. I'm lucky, but not everybody has that, especially through
Yeah.
COVID. I don't know how people could survive like mentally without the internet. I couldn't even imagine going through this in your house alone. Like it would be devastating for me. Like uh, like my neighborhood started like organizing meetups and stuff at the cafes and just to chat human contact from like 2 feet away from each other or whatever, like it was just people were losing their minds, man.
Bro,
Like,
that meet you in school. In the pandemic, I got really fucked up because I had like problems in my hand, so I couldn't play video games, and
oh
I was
shit.
getting, yeah, dude, it
Oh,
was
the worst.
yeah. I'm still recuperating, but I guess whatever.
Oh, man.
Yeah, the thing that kind of saved me was it was really random, but local government, I don't know what the word in English is, like the like the president of the city, I don't remember in English the word.
Governor? Yeah.
um yeah, it's government, whatever, like the local government restructured a street like close to my home, you know. and I began I began walking there because it was like a new place, I guess. And I began like noticing that it was a very strange street. And I went like searching for why the fuck was the street so different from the rest, you know? And I
Yeah.
discovered that there was a hackathon. I don't know if you guys know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's that?
And hackathon,
Hackathon.
hackathon. I
Hackathon.
don't know. Yeah, hackathon. Yeah, that.
What does that mean?
It's like a competition where people show up ideas and projects to help solve a problem. It's a competition of
Oh,
solving a
okay.
problem. Yeah, and there was that in the city hall, I guess, and people come up with new ideas, and who won were like architects, and they were like giving ideas on how to. It was a hackathon about city infrastructure, like how to better the city, you know. And they
Oh,
got
okay.
hired. Yeah, they got hired by the mayor. Yeah, that's the word. They got hired by the mayor, and their ideas were based on what's that? Netherlands. I don't know if it's a
Oh yeah.
country. Yeah,
Yeah.
and they're like the peak of urban
Planning.
transportation.
Urban planning.
Yeah, urban planning. Yeah, exactly. And I went on this habit hole, and I'm actually gonna do a master's degree on the shit like next year or the year after that.
Cool. Happy.
Yeah, yeah,
Congrats, dude. That's a great. I see you found a calling, I guess. Like it's
yeah,
a good
for
thing that
sure.
you can do. That's always like one of the best feelings, man. Like I always love
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Like
because
yeah.
yeah, go on.
Yeah, I think like since we've been talking about art, like I didn't just jump into this. Yeah, I know what I'm gonna do. Like I started like studying French literature in college. I dropped out,
Mhm.
decided to do art basically. But the decision that made me drop college was so unrelated to art. Like I just had some stuff happen that made me like personal stuff made me want to drop. And after
Mhm.
that emptiness was a creative pressure, I had to ask myself, what the fuck do I want to do? I'm 21 years old. I'm a college dropout. What am I going to do? What do I want to do? You know,
Yeah.
that's when I started. Like, I think you had the same kind of, you had a pressure applied on you by life,
Yeah, for
and
sure.
the pressure made the idea jump and attack at you, like instinctively. I like that when it happens, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's
I want to talk about something you said earlier, Zin, which is you said that you found your meaning of life, right? Something to that effect, that you found whatever life means to you. And you said it was your principles and blah, blah, yeah?
Yeah.
Do you think people can exist without having a meaning?
Let me think. I don't want to just instantly answer that. It's actually a hard question. Give me a sec.
Can I pose other question if it helps? Is
Uh,
fulfillment necessary? Like to achieve fulfillment, do you have to have a meaning? Like,
I think they're analogous, like next to each other, like kind of. I would
yeah,
say to the question, I would say yes, you can survive, but I wouldn't call it living. Like, I think they are kind of separate. We can survive as a living entity without meaning, but I don't think we would find that meaningful. Like, I don't know how to say it without a tautology. I don't
yeah.
know.
I think that you can be fulfilled and not have a meaning. I guess. Like, imagine.
I'm not sure
Mm,
about that. I'm not sure about that. I feel like because our desires are so insatiable and never ending, we have to find a certain balance with them, kind of. Like, because if you just leave me to my device, if I just chase like a certain kind of pleasure, I would just read like 5 hours a day and play video games the rest.
No, but I'm talking about like there is pleasure and there is fulfillment. Is fulfillment is not necessary when you're pleasured or
Oh
you're
yeah, yeah,
very
yeah. I
happy.
I get you. I get you. You're right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean that. I think that it's possible, but we're talking about tautologies here, right? For example, I think that there exists a monk that doesn't give a shit about religion, and he just wants to, I don't know, spend day talking to other monks and drinking
Yeah,
tea
but
or
I
whatever.
yeah, but I could also sympathize with a monk who's incredibly bored by that life and wants to fuck some bitches. Like, I
Yeah,
would also be able to
also.
sympathize with them too. Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. I would.
monks are allowed to do that, by the way. They're allowed
Oh,
to
I didn't know
smoke.
that.
Yeah,
It
so
depends on the kind of
basically,
monk, right?
the way it's explained is the monks need something to tether them to reality. Otherwise, they just float away in into the ether. It's sort of like a metaphor, but you know
Yeah,
what they
It
mean.
depends
It's
on the
I,
something.
monk,
I, I
right?
I sort of get what you mean instantly. That's weird that I do. Like when you say
Yeah,
that. Yeah, I don't know
they need
why,
something
but
to ground them in with humanity. So some of them, will have a wife. Some of them will smoke or drink, like whatever, right?
yeah. Meaning is a kind hard thing. I think I can identify meaning for myself if I'm doing something, and even if it's not going the way I want it to go, I'm still okay with it. And that's like a
Yeah.
good
So
sign for me.
the
Like,
reason why I asked this question is because I feel like there's an assumption that humans need meaning, right? And initially, it's objective, rules laid down by a religion, right? That's the meaning. Your meaning of life is what the meaning God is giving you,
Yeah.
right?
oh, if you
And then,
define, all right, is that how we define meaning? I'm not sure about the definition of meaning.
well,
How would you define it?
in the past, right? And now, in the Western world anyway, in a very post-religious sort of world, the new idea is you find your own meaning, right? You find your own sort of anchoring thing that you want to dedicate your life towards, and that
Yeah.
means something to you personally, right? I just don't know if people need that, right? Because
That encouraging.
Hmm.
yeah, or like a meaning, like
Mhm.
I feel like people can obviously, like, I'm not saying that people should be hedonistic, right? Or people should have a goal of pleasure, because I feel like
Yeah.
anything like that is such a fleeting feeling that is so momentary that but happiness should always be something you get from having a greater goal, right? So you're chasing
Maybe.
the greater goal, and happiness is a byproduct of you trying to achieve this other goal. Happiness should never be the goal, is
I,
what I'm saying.
I agree that happiness should be though, but I think that happiness is something that happens, like being sad, being happy. I don't think that it's like we derive happiness. For example, let's say that a guy works like 12 hours a day, 16 hours a day, whatever, in a shitty job to maintain his family living. Like he's not happy. Like he's fucked up on the job, but he's fulfilled. And I think that fulfillment can be better than happiness, or at least going after
Yeah.
something that will make you happy.
Have you guys noticed that when we talk about meaning and purpose and stuff like that, we always talk about it in terms of physical actions we take towards it instead of like linguistic, fictional engagements we have in our minds. Like
Yeah.
I feel like as I get older and older, I feel like the most happy I am is when I'm just walking my dog, not happy yet. I'm just thinking about some stuff about life and I feel sad, then I identify that I'm feeling nihilistic and detached a little bit from reality. Then I start, applying some exercise and reminding myself of the times and the ways that some fiction made me see humanity in a different light, and I'm instantly energized and happy and accepting of
Wow.
humanity again.
I actually agree. Holy
Like,
shit. That happened to me. That happened to me a few hours ago when I was walking
yeah,
my
it's
dog.
one of those greatest feelings, and I think when I can get that, it's so incomparable to the physical actions that I can execute for meaning. Because for some reason, when I attach physical actions to meaning and purpose and joy, I'm not gonna say pleasure, but joy, I feel like an animal more instead of a human.
Mhm.
Like I feel like I'm easier to control, I'm easier to satisfy, easier to market to, easier to manipulate. But if I generate and degenerate my values on my own, I feel like I am living on my own terms. I cannot ever be a slave. Like, I always decide what my fate is by myself, what my situations is by myself, disregarding my environment entirely, like detached from my environment, like my psyche is detached from it. Because if I don't do that, maybe it's like a pressure that made me think this way. But because if I don't do that, I'm a Turk in Istanbul who wants to get the fuck out of here, who wants nothing to do with this place, the people here, whatever. And I can easily bring myself down very easily. It's just so easy to bring myself down, you know?
Yeah, but
Like,
like, so if we define meaning, which is the reason why people do certain things, right? The reason behind an action, the reason behind a concept, etc. Meaning, that's what it means, right?
do you
Mhm.
consider like thoughts actions?
No.
Okay.
So for someone, so when I hear people say like, you can find your own meaning to life, it's like I'm already living, I'm already existing. I don't need to have this extra curricular level of sort of an personalized idealistic view from my perspective, right? I'm already existing.
But are you fulfilled?
I could be.
No, no. I'm asking. Like, are you fulfilled? Like,
Am I
oh,
personally fulfilled?
yeah. Like,
Well, I'm just talking about the idea generally, not
sorry. I thought you were talking
um,
about what you said.
yeah. So like,
Okay.
basically, my whole point is: do people need to have a meaning for their lives? Do they
I
do they
don't.
need? Do they think they need that, or do they actually need that? And
Are
in
you
my
talking about
opinion,
a static thing, static meaning, or a meaning that could change for everybody?
Yeah, everybody. Like,
yeah,
could
like
be family,
for
work,
example,
whatever.
religious people get their meaning from their religious ideas, right? Their religious text or whatever, right? That's the meaning of their life. Their meaning of their life is to serve God, right?
Ooh,
People who aren't
that's a
religious,
hard one.
who
That
aren't
is a
religious,
hard one.
the idea is you derive your own meaning based on whatever passion or goal you have. Maybe you want to contribute to humanity or help people, whatever. Like you create your
Yeah.
own meaning.
That
But
is a hard one, but I think I have a great answer for you for this one.
go on.
I think because I remember the time that I was religious extremely, that I remember being completely happy and fulfilled,
Ottoman.
and I would live forever like that. But at the same time, when that was shattered and I was like illuminated more, let's say, for a better term, I did feel not fulfillment, not satisfaction, but a certain kind of feeling that is way beyond those things, that is much
Freedom.
better. Maybe, maybe, maybe. Like I felt I was more engaged in what is happening around me, and I was taking responsibility for my existence more. Like because I didn't notice how much control of myself that I was giving away by living a certain way. I didn't notice those things but you can't notice those things because at that time they give you so much meaning. They are the best. Like if you know the Muslim prayers, we bend down, kneel, and say prayers that are predetermined over and over again, and that alone, that repetition alone, was enough to fulfill me when I was younger. But after you break through that, it's like, oh, I didn't know another world existed.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's a humbling, and it makes you feel small, but in a larger world. You know,
Yeah.
you feel bigger in a smaller world when you're religious. For me, I wouldn't say that for any other religious person. I'm just talking to my experience here. That's why I wouldn't want to step on the toes of any like hardcore religious person here that might be here who's like afraid to speak up against like next to atheists and shit. But for me, I did feel unencumbered and afraid too, but also invigorated, excited, more engaged with life itself and the impermanence of life itself, because I was sure like there was an afterlife, you know?
Yeah.
There's other thing that I would like to add. Like, I was discussing a comic book with a friend of mine. It was a random comic book that we found, and this friend of mine, he studied literature, and he said that um, we could not judge this specific comic book in a way of narration structure because we were not from the same culture as the people from the comic book. It was a random comic book about a girl that immigrates from country to country, and to me, it didn't seem to have like a cohesion, like a logic on some ways that the transition from like the way that the story progressed. It was not like the hero's path or whatever that we're
Yeah. Yeah,
used
hero's
to.
journey.
Yeah, hero's journey. It was I think it was from Cameroon or something. It was an artist that was African, you know.
Huh.
And my friend said that um, some places in Africa, the way that they see themselves identity is not by a virtue or by like something that is inherently immovable. Like for example, you have the idea in the Western world, I guess, of honor and being a man or whatever. But some places, it's the idea that you change, like you adapt to the situation and you respond differently depending on whatever is happening, you know. And I don't know if what he said is true, but what I'm trying to say is that the person sometimes can be defined by the change itself, you know. Like
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
my father, the first thing that I remember he talking to me about is a phrase like there is a hard stone and there's water, and water is soft, but water can mold itself to pass through the stone, and by molding itself, it's much stronger than the stone. You know, it's a saying. I don't know how to say this shit in English,
Your father
but
stole that from Bruce Lee, but okay.
okay, he grew up watching this shit, and yeah, there's a saying like, but whatever.
Yeah, I would
The
suggest
idea
if you
behind
like
it.
that, you should actually read this. I'm posting it the
Yeah.
off-topic open chat. Asterios Polyp was very instructive for me when I was this elitist artist type. Yeah, artists for arts, are artists for the artists themselves. Nothing else exists. Fuck
Uh-huh.
people, that stuff like that. Also, like I was like hardly hardwired into like a view of the world in a duality. Like,
Yeah.
even though physically I like and methodically I agree with it, but I think it might also be limiting. The Asterios Polyp like was a graphic novel, not, I don't know if you can call it a comic book, but it was very, very cool. Also, it helped me like approach romantic relationships in a more fair way. I like that.
Hmm.
Like
I have to
it's
say
about
that neither of
it's
you have answered my question, by the way.
No,
I
but
didn't.
I said
No.
Oh, my bad. I would try again.
you can derive fulfillment by changing. Like it could be your thing. It's
No,
not
that
anything.
so sure, people can derive fulfillment in different ways. However,
Would you
do
tell me
humans
in what way that I didn't answer so I can
The question is, do humans need a meaning to their lives?
I would say yes.
And I think both of you answered by giving like an alternative, right?
Oh, you're right.
Motivational
You're
drive
right.
to carry on existing. But none of you actually answered the question directly. I mean,
Repeat again.
I'm
Did you say
I'm just
survive
spitballing here.
or exist? Like, which one did you say? Did you ask?
Live a
Like,
good life,
did you
right?
ask survive or
Exactly.
survive or exist? I forgot fastest.
Sorry, say that again.
Did you say survive? Could human beings survive without meaning or exist without meaning?
It would be exist, right? Because it would be, do individual people need meaning in their life in order to exist?
Oh no, I don't think we can. I think even if we can't find it, we make it up. I honestly think that's the case because
Yeah, but even if we
that
make
is.
it up, then that presupposes the idea that we need some sort of anchoring idea, right? We
I
need some
don't
sort
know
of
how.
idea to attach ourselves to in order to
Mm.
keep,
Oh, oh, I think we craft it. That's why I always say we are not linguistic beings, but we are fictional beings. That's why I like. That's why I like Harari's explanation so much in Sapiens and stuff like that. Like fiction, like all we engage is in fiction. Even if in our heads, I think our image of ourselves is warped. Like we are not totally aware of what the fuck we ourselves are in a perfectly sure way. Like I think you all met people who are deluding themselves, right? Like you watch them in action, deluding themselves. I think if we're not able to find proper meaning, we just create a less proper one for ourselves, which because we have to fill that hole. It's like
but
an
do we have
operating system for a hardware, I would say. Like it's
so
like an operating system
that's
for a
my
hardware.
question. Do we need to fill that hole, or is that something we've told ourselves?
I think we
Right.
can't help but fill that hole. I think it's
Is,
hard fucking wired, my dude.
is meaning different from identity? I really am struggling to.
Could you repeat, Pedro?
Is meaning different from identity?
Yes.
Yes, because the meaning of your life will presuppose your identity, right? Will determine what you end up having as an identity.
No, I think it's the contrary. No, the identity will define what will be the meaning. No,
No.
no.
I mean, even if you try to make sure your life means nothing, that would end up being your meaning. No?
It's funny because
Yeah,
you
true.
reminded me of a Slovenian philosopher called Zizek.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huge fan.
And there's a documentary he did called A Pervert's Guide to Ideology.
Oh yeah, I know.
And in it he says, like, the moment we think we escape ideology in our sleep, in our dreams, there is where ideology prevails the most.
Oh man, he's so right. Fuck. He is very right. Fuck.
Mm.
It's scary how right he is on that. Like it's because ideologies do become shackles. I do believe that in my heart. Like anything that doesn't, doesn't change, doesn't adapt is like an obelisk that is like deciding every, way you act. It's kind of yikers. Like I used to be like this, this Ursula Le Guin type, anarchist type when I was younger, and now it feels so fucking dumb, dude.
Yeah, you like generalize a way to divine your opinions on
Yeah.
things.
In hindsight, I'm just attaching meaning to my situation and my decisions. Like in
Yeah.
hindsight, that's all it is, and that's all we can do as like feeble human beings. I think we should be a little bit easier on ourselves. Like when it
Yeah.
comes and we are tackling these big like overarching questions that we engage in, and I think we engage in them because it energizes us and motivates us, because hence we need meaning, because we cannot help but talk about this because
I
Fascist is
think
here
that
talking about it.
I think that
Yeah.
ideology is like a way that we. It's like the software that we put in our heads to make opinions about things. And what you're talking about is like creating our own way to think, I guess.
So I've just recently Googled it, and according to psychological studies, meaning in life is an important psychological need because it promotes positive psychological well-being and physical health, right? So maybe there is, but so now my question, well, the question that I think of is, did we have evolutionary pressures that created us to have a larger idea that was beyond the suffering we were experiencing in the day-to-day life, that was good enough for us to anchor ourselves to in order to keep pushing forward, right? Because humans think more than any other animal that we know. And because we think, and we're future thinking as well, and we know how harsh like living as a human was 50,000 years ago. Maybe it's something we needed based on our inability to consolidate our suffering mentally. Maybe we needed to evolve this sort of
I think that
idea that we
meaning,
could attach ourselves to in order to
yeah,
What I read about it was evolutionary when we started cooking our food, reducing the time to digest the nutrients made us have extra time on our hands that we can spend besides survival efforts, constant survival, immediate survival efforts. And that emptiness that we sit around a fire has created fiction, I think. Like that's where we started telling the stories. That's when we make up gods. That's when we try to find meaning. Like even if it's wrong meaning, it is better than no meaning. Because I think meaning is, when we say meaning, I think what we mean is, sorry for the saying mean all the time, a drive to
Yeah.
act. A drive, like, because if we don't have meaning, there is no reason to take any action. There's no reason to move from A to B for a living organism, I would say.
it's more work. Like when you have to think about everything individually. When you have meaning, it's easier to determine what you should do.
I
I mean,
actually think it might
yeah.
be humanity's superpower now I'm thinking about it, because how else
Yeah.
can you
Yeah.
convince someone to, for example, this is a very bad example, but blow themselves up?
True.
Right.
True. Absolutely true.
You know,
Absolutely true.
how else can you convince someone to hike to the top of a Himalayan mountain, right? For no other reason apart from spiritual or religious endeavor, right?
Yeah.
I think that is actually
yeah.
superpower. Like human beings
Yeah.
attaching themselves to an idea that is bigger than them and is sort of like immortal in some kind of way.
I like calling ourselves creatures of meaning and fiction because, like, before we had to say we are creatures of religion because that is tantamount to the same thing. But we are going to the more core concepts of religion now to make sense of what the fuck is going on in our lives, And I think that's a progress. And I think progress is our defining trait. Meaning is defining trait. Fiction is defining trait. Like we imagine first, then see if it's the case later. That's a crazy abstract power. Like it's insane in terms of animal kingdom, Like
I don't know if progress is the right word. Like
maybe not, maybe not. Like I might be conflating my terms. Sorry if I am. Like at the end of the day, English is my second language.
No, I'm not saying that's the wrong word from what you're trying to say. I think that thinking about human achievements as progress is wrong because you're
Oh,
trying to.
I wouldn't say achievements. I have to correct myself. I'm not saying achievements. Any kind of endeavor, good or bad. Like the main idea behind it is there's a driving force for moving. I wouldn't even say like progress as this is better now, quote, better in quotation marks, because what the fuck is better? But
Yeah.
there is movement forwards,
Okay.
backwards, like not in a linear
Change.
spectrum, but movement in a sphere, let's say.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, I
That
stole
makes
that from the comic book that I just linked. So yeah, check it out. Asterios
Well,
Polip. Yeah,
books are good. I like them.
yeah.
Oh wait, have you ever read Invincible?
Oh, I
No.
haven't. No. Is it
It
good?
is. Oof.
Really?
You were talking about like things that like make you. Remember we talked about like when you walked your dog and shit, and like just like thinking about how like pieces of media have like made you think differently about stuff. I think that's one of the books that really did make me
Yeah.
think differently about something.
Like my wife is a lit major, and she was so instructive for me. She like suggested that I read Philip Roth, if you guys know it. Like he's a Jewish American writer. I was so politically under pressure back then, like thinking about politics, all these debates we do on the internet, all these weird fucking Twitter shit, you know, all that stuff. Man, did I fucking get revelation on, dude. Like I was immediately, my muscles relaxed. I could think in clearer terms without getting emotionally fucking manipulated. I would highly suggest reading American Trilogy of him, like his like I Married a Communist, Human Stain. What was
Is
the third one?
anyone else here familiar with Berserk?
Oh yeah, of course.
The
Yeah.
manga?
Yeah,
So I
I
actually
bet
have
we all
a
are.
friend who didn't commit suicide because he read Berserk.
What?
Wait, what do you mean? He did it?
He didn't commit suicide after reading Berserk.
Oh.
Man,
And if you know anything about Berserk,